At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a walk-off grand slam or a base hit to center field. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a walk-off grand slam or a base hit to center field. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
As a matter of fact, when I first went with the Duke and Duchess way back in 1962, we were talking about, the Jake was talking about what sort of races, and I remember him saying to me, he said, Hutchy, he said, there's only one race that I'd love to win. He says, I can have all the derbies, he says, but I'd love to one day win the Ascot Gold Cup.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with me, your host, Stephen Wallace, for the second of our Royal Ascot shows. The clip you just heard was from Ron Hutchinson at his family home in Melbourne, a sprightly 96 years old who won the Ascot Gold Cup 50 years ago on Ragstone for the Duke of Norfolk. Ron is the main guest on this Royal Ascot feature episode alongside another Gold Cup winner in Michael Hills, who won the most prestigious race of the meeting in 1994, and Tim Cox, a former trustee of the National Horse Racing Museum and owner of the Cox Library. To begin with, I wanted to find out more about Ascot, Royal Ascot, and the Gold Cup, and there is no better man to ask than Tim Cox. I began by asking Tim, when did Royal Ascot first take place?
It's difficult to set a date for the first Royal Ascot meeting, Stephen. Racing at Ascot started in 1711 when Queen Anne ran a Gold Cup race and presented the prize. That was in August, September 1711. And she'd moved a race meeting from Datchet, which is down by the Thames. You have to wait, I think, until 1807 when we get the first Gold Cup to think of a meeting similar to the race meeting that we have nowadays, with races that would look reasonably similar to the ones we have. Before that, they would have been the long distance races that were more common in the 18th century. The first 4-day meeting was in 1768, but you couldn't call that a royal meeting. So I would go for 1807 as the start of Ascot as we know it today. 1825, we had the first royal procession before racing, and now established an expectation that there will be a royal procession every day. Used to be just for 4 days, it's now 5. The first Ladies' Day was in 1823, or the first reference to Ladies' Day. It's not a term that the racecourse uses. They always use, just refer to it as the third day or the Thursday. Ladies' Day is a popular term, It was a poet that referred to the ladies at Ascot. So 1823 for the Ladies' Day. So we've now got an established Royal meeting sometime in the early 19th century.
Thanks for all those dates, Tim. So Ascot Gold Cup first run in 1807. Which winners of that most important race of the meeting stand out?
There have obviously been good winners over that long period. And if in recent times we've had the multiple winners, such as Yates, who won 4 times, Sagaro won 3, Lemos and Ardros by 2. But I think the horse that really stands out as the Gold Cup winner was St. Simon in 1884. He was a horse that was the best at the time. He missed his classic races because his owner died. So in those days, his entries were voided on the death of the owner. So he didn't run as a 3-year-old in the classic races. So 1884 as a 4-year-old. And then he goes on to be champion sire for 9 years. Sires the winners of 17 classics, including Persimmon and Diamond Jubilee. 6 times the champion sire of broodmares. So I would nominate St. Simon as the best ever winner of the Ascot Gold Cup.
We mustn't forget Stradivarius, 3-time winner, who's now at the National Stud.
Yes, Stradivarius stands out, but I don't think he will be champion sire for 9 seasons. But you're right, Stradivarius does stand out in recent times.
And St. Simon was trained at?
Matt Dawson was training him at Heath House, which is the stables now used by Sir Mark Prescott. So wonderful. I was standing in St. Simon's box earlier this week, or the box that St. Simon had. And it's slightly macabre, but Sir Mark has the skin of St. Simon hanging up. And all the racehorses being trained there walk past St. Simon every day on their way to the gallops.
We've also had royal winners, most famously in 2013 with Estimate.
I think the win of Estimate is one of the most fantastic of all the years I've been going to Ascot. And to see the films now, that if you go to the Horse Racing Museum, you'll see a clip of Estimate winning the Gold Cup, and then you can see the delight, the pleasure, the sheer of the Queen winning what is probably the standout race at Ascot. Just the excitement of somebody who's had winners over 50 years. Still just bubbling. It's fantastic.
Shows her love of the horse.
I think it shows her love of the horse, how she sees the importance of Ascot, the heart of the racing season in England. Her entries over the years had more than 20 winners at the Royal meeting. But I think that's probably the standout one for her and for everybody who was there.
Let's hope King Charles III and Queen Camilla will be there at Royal Ascot this year.
Well, I hope so. They've already had one winner last year. And there's a race being named. The King's Stand now becomes the King Charles III stake. So let's hope for more royal winners there.
I think we all hope that, Tim. Thanks for joining me to talk about the Ascot Gold Cup. Let's now hear from the winner of the race 50 years ago, Ron Hutchinson. Hello, Ron. Welcome back. How are you keeping?
Oh, fantastic, Steve. Yeah, going very well. Yes, I'm 96 years of age, and I'm still going to the races and enjoying life at the moment. So yes, I'm keeping pretty fit, so it's pretty good.
When you're your age, I think you're 96 and a half because, your birthday's in December. So,
Yes, that's right. Yes, yeah. I still I swim in nearly every day. At least 4 or 5 times a day. I go to my local golf club, which has a gymnasium and a swimming pool. And I don't get into the lifting weights or anything like that, but I jump into the spa and the sauna and. I swim 1,000 metres or 40 laps of the pool, and it takes me about an hour. And I get out and enjoy a nice spa, and then have a shower. And I come home on my scooter. I don't drive anymore. I come home on my little scooter, and I spend, as I say, 2 hours at the club. And when on my way home, I say to myself, well, I've enjoyed that and it's done me the world of good. So that's my day for about 4 days a week. And as I say, I really enjoy it.
well, that's
In and between, I go to the
fantastic.
races nearly. I can still go to the races quite often. And fortunately, my son-in-law is vice chairman of the Melbourne Racing Club, and I get a freebie at the committee luncheons and all that. So I keep in touch with all the people that come to the races, and I meet and see new people every day. So I keep myself very well indeed.
Well, that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about your win in the Ascot Gold Cup 50 years ago. But I wanted to start by when you first came over to England. How much did you know about Royal Ascot? Had you followed it on the television?
No, as a matter of fact, I used to, it was more of the English derby that we used to listen to on the radio, and that was more like, the Royal Ascot meeting was. I didn't know very much about the Royal Ascot meeting at all until I got to Ireland with Paddy Prendergast, and they were preparing, or he was preparing horses, for Royal Ascot, and not only Royal Ascot but Epsom and Goodwood and all those sort of times. And then I came to realise what a great race meeting it was. And of course, when I got to that was way back in 1960, and Paddy had some nice horses at that particular time. And fortunate enough, in 1960 I won a couple of races. I think it might have been the New Stakes, if I remember rightly, and the Coventry Stakes on that particular time. And so we had a great time at Royal Ascot, and I didn't realise, or I realised then now, what a wonderful meeting it was. And we stayed over there for the 4 days, and as I say, I enjoyed it immensely. All the car park, the parties in the car park, the people getting dressed up in their top hats, and ladies in their elegant, graceful way of life. It was fantastic. It was unbelievable. So I've just to say, my very first trip to Ascot was very, very nice.
Yeah,
Very much.
1960, as you said, you won 2 races. You won on Typhoon in the Coventry Stakes, your 3rd ride at Royal Ascot.
That's right. Yes, it is. And I remember it was a storm there. If I remember rightly, the weather wasn't too good, and because it was Typhoon, it was a good name for that particular day. But I say the weather wasn't all good at that particular time, all day. Yeah, but it was good. Yeah, it was lovely to win the two nice races at Royal Ascot on my first visit there.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine, Tim Cox, who's a leading sort of racing historian, and has got his own Cox Library. Tim has revealed that if we include the Ascot Heath races, you won 25 races at Royal Ascot, from 220 rides. And I noticed in 1963, he won 4 races in 1963.
Oh, gee, I didn't realise that. I'd forgotten about that, yeah. Oh, well, I can say to myself, I've had a good time at Royal Ascot, in other words. Win 25 races, and all good races they are too, I remember one particular, the Royal Hunt Cup. I won a race for a man called a trainer called Dave Hadley, I think, if I remember rightly. And so I always had a great time at Ascot. Most enjoyable it was. Very, very nice.
You are listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. You can follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google, Spotify, and YouTube. Please leave us a rating and review. It all helps raise the profile of the show. Now, before we get back to Ron and his memories of 1974, let's hear from the winner in 1994, Michael Hills. How special is the race to the sport and to jockeys?
It's a very unique race. It's the biggest race of the Royal Meeting, which is our biggest racing week of the year. It's over a unique trip. It takes an extremely tough and game horse to win it on, and you meet the Queen after. To win the Gold Cup at Royal Ascot is something a jockey wants to tick off his bucket list.
That must make it special, as you did in 1994, to meet the Queen after winning the race.
That's right, Acadian Heights. He was the first gelding to ever win the race, and he stayed extremely well. He was an extremely tough horse to get by. I made the running until Swinley Bottom, then someone took the race off me there, which was great because I'd be able to fill my horse up and give him a breather. And then I kicked into the straight, and I beat a very famous horse called Vintage Crop. He went on and won the Melbourne Cup. Yeah. He didn't actually stay at Ascot. That's why I beat him.
Obvious question, was it a race you always wanted to win?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My brother Richard, twin brother, he won it at a really early stage in his career. He'd just come out of his apprenticeship. He won it for Tom Jones and Sheikh Hamdan. And it's just it's a picture you want in the house. It was a very, very special. It's a very special race to win.
Because Arcadian Heights had gone close a couple of times before. He'd been second in the race. That's
right. Yeah, and it was his day. I only rode him the once, and luckily we got on well together.
So finally, what the qualities a horse needs to win the Ascot Gold Cup?
As I said before, they need guts. They need it to stay, and they just need to be extremely, extremely game. It's over a long trip. We really flat jockeys only ride over that twice a year, as in the Gold Cup and the Cesarewitch. It's the furthest we go. So the horses don't get much practice, and they, as I say, they got to be very game. And have a lot of stamina.
16th of June 1994, a special day in the life of Michael Hills.
Certainly was. I've got the picture very close to me.
Five Below means hot stuff, cool prices. Get the trends in your feed for way less. Candy, beauty, tech, room decor, and more. Plus extreme value finds in our 5 Beyond shop. Yep, you could say we're kind of a big deal. Shop in stores and fivebelow.com.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a walk-off grand slam or a base hit to center field. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a walk-off grand slam or a base hit to center field. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let's move on to Ragstone. Before we talk about the Ascot Gold Cup, what was he like as a horse?
Well, he was rather a nice horse. I wouldn't say that he was a champion by any means, but and he was doubtful at getting staying 2.5 miles on that particular day. But he was a very useful horse, and of course the Duke bred him himself, so that was a big bonus. It was very, in other words, I would say that we all knew that the doubt about him getting 2.5 miles was a bit doubtful, but anyway, he won the race, and of course everybody was delighted that he was able to win.
What can you remember about the race? There were 6 runners, and the previous year's winner, LaSalle, ridden by Lester Piggott, was the favourite. You were second favourite at 6-4.
That's right. Yeah, I can't remember the betting, but I remember Lester riding the French horse, and they had a pacemaker, and at that particular time, His Grace said that he bought a horse called Hornet to make or see. He was put in the race for me because Ragstone was a pretty hard pulling horse, and he was quite difficult to ride at that particular time, and Tommy Carter rode Hornet that the Duke had purchased, and to slow me down, so I could get in behind Tommy and wait until it was time to go, and then then I'd go past Tommy. And Tommy did a terrific job in that respect because, as I say, I sat up in behind him, and he slowed the pace down to suit me. So it was a well planned operation because, as I say, Tommy did a great job, and I was able to go past Tommy when it was time to go. And of course, I did that. I got clear. I passed. I got up to the front, hit the front, and I just got there as. I think if I remember rightly, a horse called Proverb was finishing very rapidly. Anyway, I was lucky enough to last long enough, and sure enough, the horse was able to win the Gold Cup for the Duke. It was great. It was a great feeling, wonderful feeling.
Yeah, you won by three quarters of a length. Was it a race you always wanted to win?
Oh yes, well, of course. As a matter of fact. When I first went with the Duke and Duchess way back in 1962, Jake was talking about what sort of races, and I remember him saying to me, he said, Hutchy, he said, there's only one race that I'd love to win. He says, I can have all the derbies, he says, but I'd love to win the Ascot Gold Cup. Because I think at that particular time, he was Royal Ascot was his baby, and he was running the show. And his right-hand man, if I remember right, was a man called Nicky Bowman, and they were very, very close. And that was the time that he said that of all the races on the calendar, he said the only race that he loved to win would be the Ascot Gold Cup. And sure enough, in 1974, he was lucky enough to win the race, and as with Ragstone, he bred it himself and all, and that was a big bonus. And unfortunately, I think he died. His Grace died in 1975, in January 1975. But anyway, it was like a dream come true for him. He got what he wanted to in racing to achieve and win the Gold Cup, and of course, everybody was delighted that he was able to do, or we were able to do it, pull it all off.
What was it like when you came into the winners' enclosure?
Oh, gee, it was lovely. I remember the Grace coming down into the middle of the track, meet me coming in, and she came up to the horse with the horse, walked back with the horse to the winner's enclosure, and the Duke was there at the winner's enclosure, and honestly, it was a day that I'll never forget, and so many happy memories. Everyone's delighted because, as I say, to win the Ascot Gold Cup was just out. Well, it was a dream that was able to come true.
You were also winning the race, of course, for trainer John Dunlop.
Yes, yeah, John. Well, that was he was such a good trainer, and that was the plan. That's why they bought this horse Hornet because, as I say, Ragstone was quite an excitable horse, and he was a pretty hard puller. And John and the Duchess they decided this plan of how the horse could, should be ridden, and as they planned, it turned out to be correct. And of course, we were able to get up and win. So it was, as I say, it was a great thing for His Grace and John as well.
Presentations afterwards with the Queen, I guess.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. That was, well, that's wonderful because, as I said before, the Duke was Ascot was his baby, and whatever went on in Ascot at that particular time was organised by His Grace. So it was a great thrill. Very happy memories.
Can you recall any celebrations that evening?
Yes, we did. Yes, we went back to Arundel, and the Duke put a party on for all the stable lads and their wives and girlfriends. It was, we had a lovely party at Arundel House, so it was very, very nice. Most enjoyable.
Would it be the highlight of your racing career?
Oh, Steve, yes, by a long way, yes. To win the Ascot Gold Cup with the Queen being there, and all the pomp and ceremony that goes with it. Look, yes, it's a memory that I could never forget, and I'm only lucky enough to be associated with the Duke and Duchess for so long. Because I was with them for about 17 years, if I remember rightly. So it was a great thrill, and for His Grace to get something that he achieved and wanted to do in his lifetime as win the Ascot Gold Cup, for it to come off of just as I say, like a dream come true. It was a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
As we said earlier, you first rode at Royal Ascot in 1960. Your last ride was in 1977. Did you go back again as a spectator?
Yes, I did go. But the day I was over in England when Epsom had the gates of had the new gates at Leicester Piggott. I went over with the Vodafone people, and they invited me over, and that was the last time I've been in England, and I did. But as I was over there as a spectator of that particular, I can't even remember the year, as a matter of fact. But I was over there for about 3 weeks, if I remember right. Then I came home. But
what was it like to dress up?
Oh, fantastic! As a matter of fact, old Scobie Breesley he had a top hat and tails, and we're the same size. And when Scobie wasn't going to Ascot, he'd lent me his suit, so I got dolled up in the top hat and tails, and I was just like Pinocchio. I was fantastic. Yeah, so it was good, great feeling. It's a wonderful meeting. It's as you know, it's a world renowned now, and it's probably those 5 days or 4 days, whatever it is, where everybody gets dressed up in their top hats and that those sort of things. It's something unique that people really, if they're racing enthusiasts, must go and see and go to Royal Ascot, because it's something worthwhile.
There were quite a few Aussies about when you were riding at Royal Ascot as well, with Bill Pyers and Bill Williamson.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. In those days, the Aussies used to do good. I remember Neville Soward. He came and he was in France, but I think he won the English Derby on Larkspur for Vincent O'Brien. So we all did pretty well in those days. There was, as I say, Jack Purtell came over, and I think he won the Oaks. There was Gardy McGaw. He's another jockey that did quite well over there, and he was very successful. So, all in all, we all did pretty well in those days. Yeah, they don't seem to go so much over there so much now. The jockeys, Australian jockeys, but when we were there. I remember a photograph that it's out in here. Of all the jockeys riding at the English Derby in 1964, I think there was about 7 or 8 of us, that rode there at that particular time. So we had a pretty good time there. It was great.
And this year you'll be watching on the television.
I certainly will be. Oh, yeah, I watch all the races actually from that are on. I just watched the English Derby, and that's just recently. But I still follow the racing people very much, and it's nice to see the sons of the people like Andrew Bawley. I remember Ian Bawley so well, and all those people, and I noticed Paul Cole and his son the other day on the TV, and. As we've all got old, but they still look very well. And Ruff Scott, I saw him. I was so delighted to see all these people. But unfortunately, I suppose, from a lot of people, they all dropped off the perch, and some of them are all gone, like John Dodnop is gone, and that sort of thing. But it's nice to look back, and I look in the crowd looking for some people that I might know. So. Yes, I follow the races pretty good over there. I enjoy it very much.
Do you get good coverage of the Royal Ascot meeting on Australian telly?
Oh, do they? What? Yeah, exactly. And it's Steve, very entertaining too. The interviews with the various people, and it's a rather. I don't mind sitting up from until 3 o'clock in the morning. I enjoy it immensely, and I'm looking forward to this year coming along, and Royal Ascot time and Royal Ascot Gold Cup. Yes, it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of lovely memories too, because in those days too, a lot of my friends from Australia used to come over from Australia and stay with me when I was living there. And they would come, my dear friends would come there, and we'd have a wonderful week. And I had a lovely friend in Ireland, Joe McLaughlin. He used to come in, his wife Maura used to come and stay with me. So we had a house full of guests that enjoyed Royal Ascot. Every year they'd come over and enjoy it. So it was wonderful, really wonderful times.
Finally, then, Ron, can you believe that it's 50 years since you won the Ascot Gold Cup on the 20th of June, 1974?
Oh, gee, there's a lot of water's gone under the bridge since then, Steve. But it's still, it's as I say, it's still very happy memories there. It's a long time, and to think that I'm still here after 50 years of it. So I've been going for a long time, Steve. Before I went to England, I think I went to England in Ireland in 1970. I was 32 years of age, so I'd sort of spent a few years in Australia before going to Ireland, and then to be there and sort of stay there for so long, because I didn't intend going over there and staying. I was only going to stay for one season, then come back home. But anyway, I enjoyed it so much, and had such wonderful people to support me. So I, as I say, I stayed there for I'm nearly 30 years up all, because all my children were born over there, or two of them were born there. And so, as I say, I've got some very happy memories and lovely friends there.
Well, thank you very much, Ron, for going back 50 years to the day you won the Ascot Gold Cup, and enjoy watching it on the television in 2024.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that for sure. Yeah, terrific. Thank you. And thanks for allowing me to be on your radio. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure chatting to you.
Lovely.
Sports Social Podcast Network.